Hey guys, I'm here today at the Suede RegTech Forum 2023, and we're speaking to some of the guests for a bit more in-depth insight into why they're here and some of the key learnings. So,
wow, I love that. He sounded more American than I do. I am Adriana Ennab from Credit Suisse, UBS, Public Policy, and I deal with all the digital topics, including RegTech, talking to regulators about how to, on consultations, what to implement, what type of regulations to put into play, how to move the market. I've been very lucky. A lot of the topics that are covered on the policy side are post-financial crisis, so EMIR, Basel, MIFID, so things to do with the financial crisis. The stuff that I work on, the majority of it is digital, and that is we're building it from scratch with the regulators. So it's incredibly exciting. I say almost more exciting than the Industrial Revolution, even though you may not believe this was not around then. No, I think it's fantastic. So we're working hand in hand, and we will go in and sit down and say, look, this is how it works. We've worked on projects with the Bank of England, the FCA, the digital reg reporting, which is now transforming data collection, and with all of this, you need regulatory technology.
So I'm going to dig straight into that. So when you're being on the bank side and the stuff you mentioned there, they're all massive problems, okay? And technology is one way to solve that. The other is just get loads of experts in and so forth. So from your perspective, when you're looking at bringing in new technology and so forth, what are you looking for? What are the key differentiators between all these businesses that are?
Well, I mean, that's not my day job, but I think we were talking about before. Because I was on the fixed income side, and I understood the actual market side, and then now looking at the policy, I could see, like a company like Suede, the benefits of what their platform had and what they were offering, and how that could work. What I think that somebody that's buying the technology is looking for, can we leverage this across the firm in different areas? And that's one of the issues that we have, is they'll have someone come in that will show us something that just solves for a small part of a regulation or a small part of a problem. We've got large, back offices, integration issues, legacy systems, resource constraints, budget constraints, all of that. It needs to come in. We need to know that the company is bringing it is scalable, they're going to be around, and that they can grow with us, but also that we can add this onto our legacy system and not necessarily have to scrap the whole thing and start from scratch, because that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. In an ideal world, you would do that, but you can't. And that can solve for a lot of different issues, or we can use it across the firm in different ways to streamline, to reduce costs, to ensure compliance, to make sure that things are done right, that we're not over-reporting, that we're not leaking data, all sorts of different issues for different reasons. As I said earlier today at the conference, I think one of the most important places that we need RegTech is on the ESG side. On the compliance side and on the capital markets, it's definitely something that we need, but it is not an absolute must-have like with ESG. There is so much data that has to be collected from so many different places in order to look at what are your clients' footprints. How do you know if you want to invest in a company, or if you suggest it to a client to shares or whatever else it is, or yourself. How do you comply with the regulatory requirements if you can't ingest all the data that's out there and figure out. You need metrics which are aligned, globally aligned and harmonized, and then you need to be able to put that into some technology that gives you the right answers and then can help you make decisions, wise decisions.
Well, that's great. That's basically an entire MBA in a response there. So
perfect.
That's great.
So we're done now. I can go get a drink.
I don't need to do an MBA now. So I've got three more questions for you. The next one is, why are events like this? Well, first of all, are they useful? And if they are, why are they useful?
Absolutely. I think I've been doing this for years, and like Diane and I said, I looked in the front row as Francis from the ECB, and then Richard Maitland, and he and I have been, we used to call it the dream team. We would go from conference to conference speaking about different things and trying to educate people. And even if there's one person at the end of that walks away, and I know that people say that and it's such a cliche, but it's actually true, but a lot of people, the passion that we have for it, the advice, they want to hear from us, right? If you have a conference like this and you have only RegTechs there telling other RegTech vendors what to do, they're going to say, well, what do you know? But if I'm saying, look, I'm telling you from our perspective, these are some of the issues, and see, these are some things you're not addressing, that will help from them maybe to go back to the drawing board or to tweak things. It brings together regulators, so Martin at the Bank of England here, Francis at the ECB, Bill Cohen, who is BCBS. so when you have these conversations, they're in the round. You have the reg techs here, you've got some fintechs, you have some academics. You're not just speaking with people that could be in your office or the same ecosystem as you are. So you can discuss the issues and say, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. And the Bank of England can say, you know what, let me take it back to our guys and let's discuss this and see how we can do things differently. So it helps to move things forward, to bring these things to an event like this. I think this is probably one of the relatively first ones. I think last year, I think it was actually in person, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was great. It was a very, very good turnout today. I was amazed because it's not. I mean, I love it, but it's not particularly,
What percentage of the people here came because of your face on the poster?
Oh, I think 99% of them.
I agree.
Except for you, right?
I didn't know you were coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that was it. Okay. Okay. So 2 more questions. First of all, if you weren't working in your current role or in reg tech or policy, what would you be doing?
I had that answer. I would probably be on a beach in the Maldives right now diving.
It's not a job. It's not a job.
Oh, a job, you mean?
Being on the beach in the Maldives is not a job.
I said diving. Diving is
Is you a diving instructor?
No, I just like to dive.
You're finding treasure.
I just like to dive.
What do you do? Are you free diving or scuba diving?
What job would I do? I absolutely, I don't know. I love what I do.
I love that.
I know. I'm serious. I absolutely love it. So something that I've done recently that I'm going to do next week is I've become a STEM ambassador for the UK because
that is an important cause.
I am passionate about helping the next generation become more involved. So girls, obviously, but boys as well. I've got 3 boys, right? And they went to some of the best schools here in the UK. They were not offered as a basic course computer science, coding, anything like that. I find it shocking. We want to build the next generation of technologists, and we're not teaching them. We're not building up. So I want to try and do whatever I can. So I've just passed my training for that, and on Monday I'm going to I am so excited as an American, the Royal Institution of Great Britain on Albemarle Street, which is like where all the famous scientists have worked and been, to a youth summit and to spend the day talking about what I do and to talk to them about cyber and AI and different things and what technology can look like, like my role. So it isn't only coding in a basement with no windows, that kind of thing. So that kind of, really inspires me to be able to change that and to be able to show. I do a lot of that. So the other thing is that if you start from a really young age, then it doesn't matter if it's a girl or boy. It's just in their DNA, right? So then there's no issue about do we retain girls in STEM or in innovation topics.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you
Yeah.
how, I think that's brilliant that you are in an industry you're so passionate about. So if we've got someone listening today and they're a bit more junior on the path and they want to get into the reg tech space and so forth, what advice would you give to them?
There's so many webinars. There's so many things now, things that you can attend. I would get onto that. I would get onto LinkedIn. I would build your profile, and I would start reading, following people, commenting on it. It's sort of how I stalked people when I first joined Credit Suisse.
In a legal sense.
Yeah, very legal, yeah. No, I was out 16 years, right? I came back in a returns program with Credit Suisse after being out of banking 16 years. Knew nothing about policy, not a single thing. Had been in Asia for a really long time, and I did this program, and just to see if I wanted to get back in. They realized that just because you've been out doesn't mean that you're brain dead, and actually you've been dealing with terrorists at home, so you're actually probably a little bit more capable than most in negotiations. My boss said, the woman that ends up hiring me said, I need someone to understand the markets. No one does really in our business. So, and then I sort of started to read about this blockchain in an ESMA consultation, which was about capital markets. And I said, what does that have to do with it? And I was like, this is going to change everything. Because having been a trader, I understood this is amazing. So back in 2015, I started to, on my own, look into it and read about it and dig and dig and dig, attend conferences, get, whatever I could get, and sort of just then started to talk to people at the FCA, and I was like, can you invite me to this? Can you invite me to that? I really want to learn more about this. And then I started, and it just sort of, you create it. And there's a lot more, there are more resources now than there were pre-pandemic when I started, but there's so much out there. So read about it, figure out what it is that what you enjoy. Is it AI? Is it blockchain? Is, make sure that you have courses. There's so many courses you can take online to become a little bit more, which I keep signing up for and not doing because I don't have the time. But if you have the time, definitely do that, because it helps to have, you don't have to, but to have to be a little bit more literate with the technology. But you can get on, you go online and you can get onto webinars all over the world on all these topics. MIT has, there's so much. So many learning resources. Learn about as much as you can, and then connect with people. And you'd be surprised how much people want to help.
People can be incredibly helpful. All right,
Yeah.
thank you so much. And look,
Pleasure.
thanks so much for coming. Thank you for colouring your nails in the suede colours. If those you can't see it, show that up to the camera. These are some
Absolutely.
tier 1 colours here. Very good.
If I get bored, I choose all the colors.
This has been great. This has been amazing. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.